this computer. All right, Scott Schrader here with WeAreSC, and we're actually still with On Three, but we are now blessed to have Greg Biggins, who have moved over from 247 to Rivals, and he is here to help us break down USC's recruiting class from what he's seen from these guys. And yeah, if we're going to get, an opinion that I respect as much as anybody, we're going to get it right now. And we're just going to kind of bang this thing out, talk about mostly the West Coast guys, but Greg's seen everybody, so we're not just going to limit it to West Coast guys. But we'll just get off this right now and start with Mark Bowman. He's the highest ranked USC commit, and just your overall thoughts on what he is going to bring to a college football program.
Yeah. Well, I always start off by saying, hey, apologize for the ugly background. I'm in my garage, the only quiet place I have in my house right now, as someone's walking in, but it's all good. No, so I mean, I love Bowman. I think for me, and I've been doing this a long time, he's probably the best high school tight end that I've covered. And I'm a Huntington Beach guy, played in Sunset League and saw Tony Gonzalez firsthand for a couple of years older than he was. But Tony was special, Hall of Famer. I think Bowman, has one of those few guys that I've seen that you cannot find a weakness in his game. Like you can't. And I'm super nitpicky. I can find a weakness in anybody. But you look at the height, weight, athleticism. You look at the quick twitch, the routes, the hands, the blocking is, I think, what kind of catches people off guard because they don't expect this kid, good-looking guy from Southern California, blonde hair, to be like this maniacal blocker. But, dude, he is the most committed tight end from a blocking standpoint that I've seen in a long time. I mean, volunteered to be the gunner on special teams because he wanted to hit someone. You don't really see your All-American tight end being the first guy down covering punts and kicks. So I love his makeup. Not originally from SoCal. I'm a SoCal guy, and I could rip on my own. We kind of have some entitlement out here, but Mark's from Colorado, so I think maybe he's got a little bit more edge to him. But I think he could play at USC right now. I really do. I think he's that good. I think he's going to go in there next year as a true freshman. I think he can be an impact guy from day one. I'm that high on him.
He even played some defense this year. If you
Oh yeah, Wildcat quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah, he is
that. Saturday, it's a great program, right? But if my biggest critique with them was that for whatever reason they could not get him the ball. For me, he was and I know they had Chris and Kaden on the outside. They have Gavin Honoré. They have 3 or 4 running backs. But I mean, for me, he was the biggest mismatch every game. A linebacker or a safety cannot cover Mark Bowman, and just that middle of the field. Watching modern day, the middle of the field was not used that much. And I'm thinking it's either straight deep balls. Or let's try to pound it. Not a lot of intermediate stuff. And I think Mark could have really been a guy to catch 60 balls and 12 touchdowns, and that's how I would have used him. But that's just me. I'm not here to critique modern day, but it's more of a, hey, I like Bowman. Let's throw him the ball a lot. He's a huge huge mismatch issue for anybody.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys too. We'll end up talking about this a little bit more as we head to signing day. The personalities that USC is signing, and I think being able to talk to these guys like you are able to, and get a feel for personalities. I'm just going to hit you up at the end of all this and just kind of get your thoughts on that aspect of these guys, because I just don't think you have a complete evaluation of a kid unless you do know their personality.
100%.
I'll ask your opinion on that.
Yeah. For me, when I get hit up by a handler or a dad or a coach, the first thing they always want to sell, hey, this is what he can do. And I'm like, I always ask two questions. I go, does he like football? And is he tough? Because if you actually say, does he love football? A lot of guys just play because they're good at it or because they like the whole process. But do you really love it? And then are you tough? I've seen small guys make it. I've seen unathletic guys make it. I've never seen a soft kid make it at the highest level, right? Because it's too hard. Football is way too hard. So if you're not tough, and I don't mean like cheap shot, that's not tough at all, right? That's just dumb. But I'm talking about just dog mentality, compete his butt off in all situations. That's what I mean by tough. Physicality, playing with a little bit of an edge. I want a guy with a little bit of an edge, right? I don't want a guy being chippy, but I want him to have a little bit of some nastiness to him, especially if he's a lineman. So tough, physicality, and does he love the game? Is he truly passionate about it? Does he work at it? Is he more about being recruited, or does he actually love playing? Because it's funny, we started taking notice. The guys in high school who complain the most about their ranking, and the guys who go to these All-American games and sit out because they got injured, they're the same guy. And the track record for those guys being bust in college is very high. So when you see these guys complaining and whining about where they're rated, or they go to these parks, these game 7-ons or an All-American game, and they kind of sit out a little too cool for school, those guys just low compete level, they don't pan out.
Yeah.
So something that I always look for. I'm a big fan of watching people when no one else knows they're being watched. And I
Mm.
want to see, body language. I want to see character. Does he That's why, dude, Travis Hunter for me will be my all-time favorite player. One of my all-time favorites, because I watched him a lot. And whether it be the first time seeing him at a 7-on-7 during COVID when Bullhead, Arizona, or watching him volleyball practices, Under Armour practices for his high school team, 7-on-7. I never saw him take a playoff ever. And then the character part was I would see people lined up to get their picture taken with him or an autograph. I never saw him turn anybody away. And this is when no
Yeah.
one's watching. There's no cameras. It's just him and little kids are asking for a photo. He would do it with a smile. And I go, dude, I'm such a fan of you and how just your makeup and how you play. And then that side, the character part, that was huge for me. I'll always be a huge Travis Hunter fan. So yeah, I
Yeah.
always look at those kind of things for sure.
Wasn't anticipating asking you about Amon-Ra St. Brown, but now that we're talking about isn't he like for guys that maybe USC related and for the West Coast, isn't he kind of like that guy too?
Yeah. People always want to to me, comping someone to St. Brown because you're similar, height, weight, athleticism, because he's not a 6'3" receiver. He's not a super twitchy kid.
Yeah.
And same thing with Bryce Young. People, oh, my son's a 5'10" quarterback. He could be Bryce Young. And I'm like, no, he's not Bryce Young because there's only one Bryce Young. You can't compare yourself to Amon-Ra St. Brown just because maybe you're similar size and you're maybe a similar athlete because it's everything else about him that makes him so unique and special.
Yeah.
And it's hard to define. When someone will say, "Hey, can this guy be like St. Brown?" You're like, "No, why?" Because they're both 5'11", and St. Brown's not a super fast guy, and I'm not super fast, so why can I be him? You're like, you just can't. Like
Yeah.
because he had the most compete. Um, just you talk about a dog mentality, the work ethic off the field, the toughness. And then from a football standpoint, he was elite when it came to hands. They did all those jug machine with the one hand.
Yeah.
That wasn't just for show. His hands are like elite. His routes, his ability to create separation, his football IQ, his smarts. Um, I would say Cooper Kupp-esque being a
Yeah.
Rams fan. You listen to Cooper break down a route and what he does, and it's not a lot more than just running as fast as you can and then turn around and hopefully the ball comes there or just running a streak. It's what do you see in a defense? How do I get open? Um, Changing speeds. I'm not saying St. Brown was a slow guy, but I'm saying it's about changing speeds and turning a guy around and just knowing how to play. That's what made Amon-Ra so special. And I saw a lot of Makai Lemon growing up saying,
Yeah.
hey, he's kind of similar. I think he's a little twitchier.
Hmm.
A lot of people are now saying Jackson Smith and Jigba is the comp for Makai, which you'll take that, right? Jackson's killing
Heck
the
yeah.
NFL right now. I didn't see as much of Jackson in high school, but I saw a ton of St. Brown. And so that was always my Makai Lemon comp. And just same dog, same compete level, just same playing angry, not chippy, but those guys will block all day long. They'll fight for tough yards. They'll never run out of bounds.
Mm.
Give you everything they got. And then from a skill standpoint, Makai, elite in the air. I don't know how we got on Makai. I think we went from this to this, but this is just us riffing a
But
little
this is but we won't do this
bit.
the entire time, but like we're going to be talking more as time goes by. But this is the kind of stuff that people are going to love hearing from you because
Yeah.
there's not many guys out there that are going to be able to offer up what you're offering. And I mean, I'm interested in what you're saying right now, and I don't have interest in almost anything. So anyway, but yeah, I always felt like I could go to the beach, throw a football down with Amon-Ra St. Brown, and he'd act like it was a Super Bowl, that one-on-one rep, that.
Yeah.
But it gives what this does, it gives people a really good glimpse of what you're looking for.
Yeah.
It's not just 40 time and how high they can jump and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot involved with what goes into ranking these guys. And another guy that is not from Southern California that you've seen and you're really, really high on is Elbert Hill. Just talk about what he's going to bring to the USC football program too.
Yeah, no, obviously corner is a huge priority, and they brought in 5 corners. I want to say this class, 3 or 4 SoCal kids, and then Elbert. I think they're all good. I think they're all different and unique. I think Elbert is the guy who can probably be, a slot nickel outside boundary guy. He's a high level athlete. been productive for 4 years. Watch him on the 7-on circuit, and cliche, but box checker, right? You want to see a guy with quick
Yeah.
feet, with some top end, with some ball skills, with some ball awareness. Nothing drives me crazy than seeing a guy who has to clutch and grab and hold. Not going to name names, but we've seen him out here in SoCal a lot. I want a guy with some ball awareness, who, with some cover instinct, who kind of can find the ball. I'll use the word patient again. Zabian Brown is, for me, was a guy I loved.
Yeah.
Wasn't super explosive or twitchy or long, but just football IQ, knew how to play, patient. Trail technique. He's not reaching out. He's trusting the technique. He's watching. He's getting his hand out there. He's getting his head turned around if you wanted him to. If not, he's putting the hand in there right when the ball comes. He's watching the guy's arms going up. Just all of that. And I think that's what he brings to the table. I think he'll play next year.
Yeah. He is one of those guys that we're always asked, right? Which are the guys you think can play right away? And he's definitely on that list. We're really high up on that list for me as well. A guy that few years back, without knowing what was going on with the relationship building that Dennis Simmons and Booby Feaster had going on, I would have never expected him to end up at USC. And I'll be honest with you, he kind of seemed like during the summertime and maybe early in the season, he was struggling for whatever reason, production wise. But man, he picked it up, and he was one of those guys that I was thinking should maybe be bumped up in the rankings. What do you see from Booby Feaster?
So I think he is being bumped up by I'll just say it, both of the websites, right? There's a couple of them. The old one I used to be at, I think with Booby, a lot of things that kind of maybe hurt his stock, if we're just kind of keeping it real, which I always want to, is I think body language maybe. Watching him at some of these events, he didn't really look like he was that interested. Which for some people, 7-on-7 or whatever, it's not the end all to be all. But I think from a pure standpoint of watching him with pads on, he's been productive for 3 years running now. And you look at the body and how he just. It's funny. Someone said he kind of reminds me of some of those USC receivers of old. And I was like, which one? He goes, I don't know, but all those receivers of USC, they'll have a certain look to them. Whether it be like a Juju or a Marquise Lee, or they gotta have like those long, lean, athletic type bodies. Juju was a little bit bigger, right? But Marquise Lee just kind of a physical freak, but just didn't look it. And I think that's the hope for Feaster, is that he'll be like one of those, a Woody, a Marquise Lee, a Juju. I mean, USC has done such a great Tyler Vaughn. I mean, I can go on and on and on. These guys, all with those long, lean, athletic bodies, who just go to USC and they're always so productive. I mean, when is the last time USC hasn't had 3 or 4 dudes at receiver that have been productive? And I think, he's very gifted, high level body control. You watch the film, and every game he's got a highlight tape of him out jumping someone in the end zone, making a big play. Pretty special when the ball's in the air, and 50-50. I think he's coming down with it, just smooth. The game just looks very easy for him. One of those guys that everything he does, maybe he makes it look too easy. Maybe that was some of the issue early on, but I think he's another guy who I expect to play like right now. When he comes, he'll be playing like right now.
Yeah, he brings a level of confidence too that I think you like, adding to a receiver room. But like you said, USC's had a bunch of those guys, and I mean they do right now, right? So Luke Wafel is a guy that I actually had an opportunity to see last month. And man, was he active, and he was getting after the quarterback like I haven't seen again. USC, if there's one area where USC has struggled the most, maybe other than Tuli Pelotu over the last decade, it's been a guy that gets after the quarterback. What are you seeing from Luke Wafel that might be able to help USC out in that area?
Yeah, no, and I think it's a Southern California, West Coast. We just don't produce a lot of elite pass rushers out here. It's part of my, hey, California, like, what's wrong with you? It's like linemen and pass rushers, we struggle. No, I think Luke's a guy who I'm very curious about, just because he is kind of a rival's outlier in terms of we got him way higher, right? Than anyone
Number 4
else.
overall right now.
You know what?
In that area. Yeah. I know. I didn't mean to, like, I'm putting you on the spot here. Like, you should know every ranking.
Yeah. So, and I have so much respect for Charles and Cody and how they go about doing it. I've known those guys, Charles, forever. We used to do a podcast, back in the old days. And so I know what they look for. And a lot of it is it's height, weight, length, speed. You want, especially your edge rushers, you want guys that have length. And That's why we're big on getting measurements. And there's a difference between a guy with a 30 arm and a 36 arm. It's like huge. It's two different football. When you watch football, watch how often you see, you know, players being able to lock out a guy or being able to go around him with a rip or whatever kind of move. And your arm length is everything. It's your burst, it's your get off is huge. Also, I remember hearing Urban Meyer talk about why they were so good producing edge rushers, and talked about Larry Johnson and what he was doing. And he goes, they spent so much time on just your get off, dip, bend, and get after the quarterback. Just get off, dip, bend, and your closing speed. And so if you can do all three of those things, get off the ball extremely well, dip, and then your closing speed, you got it. You got it made, right? And that also you need to have, some toughness to be able to stand up and be a run guy too. You don't want to just be a designated pass rusher. But I think Luke is the kind of guy. I'm not going to compare him to like one of the Boses, but I think people look at him as being, hey, this guy is big and physical, ready to kind of step in and play now.
Yeah.
And he kind of has those traits that project really, really well. And you hope everything else turns out. You always want the production to match the projection. And he's been able to do that too. Very productive with those traits. And so I think that's why everyone's pretty high on him.
And a reminder to USC fans that he was a top target for the Ohio State Buckeyes and Larry Johnson.
Yeah. There's some schools that when they get offered, like, okay, Ohio State wants that guy. Okay, if LSU wants a corner, okay, he must be pretty good, right? And back in the back way, like, when Miami, they offered a quarterback, they used to be really good with the quarterbacks, USC with receivers, right? I think some schools are just known for always being really good. I'm a fan of certain programs. Boise State offers anybody. I'm like, okay, that guy can play. If Boise State wants him, I'm good with that because they don't care about, writing or star. They just, hey, can the guy play football? And if he can play for Boise State, then I'm sold. So
Sure.
yeah, Ohio State wants an edge rusher. He's probably pretty good at rushing the passer.
Chances are high.
Chances are high.
Hey,
Yeah.
a guy from Southern California, LA. I don't is Kenai Pepe ended up at IMG Academy and the thing about IMG Academy is guys go there and most of them are there for a purpose, and that's to kind of grow up and
Play football.
play football. It is what it is. But I mean, they do a hell of a job there developing these kids, and they leave IMG Academy more prepared probably for the college level than other kids. But this is a massive kid. I guess there's some differences in rankings for him too, but ultimately he's around the 5-star range. Where do you see him fitting in?
Yeah, so I think he's a true tackle prospect. I really do. Some at the Polynesian Bowl last year. Been watching him since 8th grade. He was posted. It's funny. I was literally DMing him. And I go, hey, and I feel super weird about like announcing like where a kid's going to high school, but that's kind of where we're at now. Used to, hey, I got breaking news. He's going to commit to, USC. Now it's like, hey, what high school? This guy was a Bosco kid, right? He's Kobe's. I go, hey, can I put out, because last time I talked to him, he goes, no, I'm going to go to IMG now. And I was like, what? And I want the local kids to stay local so I can go watch them play, obviously, right? And so, the week of that he announced for IMG, he was actually supposed to go to Bosco, but regardless, he would have turned out great regardless. But again, a guy who I think's got a lot of traits. He's long, he's huge, but he's not sloppy.
Yeah,
and I think that's key, right? He's got, I think, a projectable frame. I think he's going to be able to add some bulk and muscle, some good weight without losing much of his quickness. I think he's kind of fluid in how he moves around. I think he's a pretty natural athlete. He's got the arm length, huge kid, huge hands, huge wingspan. So yeah, I mean, I think him and Luke are probably the two biggest outliers in terms of one side likes him a little bit better than the other. I do like Pepe. I think he's got a chance to be really good. I think offensive line is probably the hardest position to play as a true freshman. So I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to go in there and play right now. But I do think he's better than guys that are playing right now. And I think his upside is higher. So I think maybe give him a year. I'd always redshirt every lineman if I could, offensive lineman if I could.
Yeah.
Give him a year to learn the speed of the game. Coming from IMG, he's going to be more advanced than anywhere else. So I think by year 2, I think he's got a chance to be a dude for them.
Yeah. What's interesting about the offensive lineman, like I said, ideally, coaches like Nick Saban and Kirby Smart would redshirt all the defensive linemen and all the offensive linemen that they bring in. But when you do bring in guys like Kenai Pepe, every year, whether it's injury or there's a hole, Saban and Kirby Smart and programs like that have had freshmen that have come in and played, and it's it's impressive how they do come in
Yeah.
and are able to function and play at a really, really high level. It's such a, underdeveloped stage of their careers because it's different for these skill guys to come
Oh,
in
yeah.
and do it, right? So we love Kenai Pepe, great personality too. Just a quiet kid, never complains about anything. The
Awesome.
rankings thing, he doesn't give
Yep.
a crap. I
Awesome.
asked him, he's playing in an All-America Bowl this year, and he's like, got that out of my system last year. He's ready to show up at USC and get started here on January 10th or whenever he's arriving.
That's
But
cool.
a guy that you haven't maybe seen a whole lot of, but I'm just gonna Jamie on Winfield, somebody you have some thoughts on, or should skip him and then move on to Talanoa Ely?
Let's talk about Talanoa.
Let's do him.
Another guy I've been watching since middle school. Saw him at one of the under the radar, camps, or one of the then Turnbull, did his linebacker zoo camp, and
Yeah.
so I've seen him a couple of times when he was a middle schooler, and it's interesting because he has that really lean frame, and like a lot of the Polynesian linebackers, whether it be your Kingstons, whether it be your Manifaremos, these are big, bulky guys, and he hasn't filled out just yet. It's going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
But I think right now it's kind of helped him be like, I think, a pretty big time athlete. First time I saw him, he was playing safety and kind of running around and covering guys. I think he's one of those guys that can play in any down in any situation. He can rush the passer, he can drop and cover, he can play in space, he can be an inside guy, he can be an outside guy. He can do everything. I think this year at Kahuku, he's played almost a little bit more as an edge rusher in certain games, modern day games. Seemed like he was doing that a lot, right?
Yeah.
But again, love the motor, love the compete level, love the toughness, love the physicality. He's got an edge to him, but I think he's a better athlete than given credit for. And I think he's got a really projectable frame he's gonna be able to pack on 30 pounds easily without losing any foot speed. I think he's gonna be good. I think the other guy, even though he's still pretty lean, I think he's gonna play next year.
Yeah. Yeah, he's somebody like you were talking about the positions he played. First time I saw him where he was almost exclusively at edge was when they played Bishop Gorman. And it's tough. It's tough to just throw guys at that position against Bishop Gorman and say, okay, good luck or whatever. But you watch him in some of the highlights that he had when he was at Orange Lutheran, and then he saw as the season went on at Kahuku, you could kind of like see him like you're talking about. Just get him on the football field, right? Let him
Yeah.
let him do whatever you need him to do.
Gotta give a quick shout out to his dad, Glenn, who told me
Yes,
3 months ago that Santa Margarita would win CIF, and they did.
he did.
And this was 3 months ago when Bosco was rolling and Mater Dei was starting to play well. He goes, Santa Margarita, they're going to win it all. I was like, you're crazy.
I know.
Actually, I think it was actually the week they played Mater Dei in league. He goes, Mater Dei will probably beat him in league, and then Margarita will get him in the final.
Yeah.
And Mater Dei actually didn't beat him in league. They lost 7-6 because one of those extra points, they didn't go for an extra point for whatever reason. But no, so props to Glenn. I want to give him a shout out because he was the one and only guy that I saw pick SM long before they became what they are now, which is an absolute machine.
Yeah. When I read that tweet from him, my first thought was, I don't think they're quite ready to do that this year. But it's like, damn, impressive, Glenn. Hey, shout out to Under the Radar too. I love the shirt you're wearing right there. We love those guys.
Love those guys. Absolutely. Didn't even know I had it on, but no, those are my guys right there. Steven and Khalid.
Hey, USC's got a couple of really impressive looking running backs coming in. Is Deshawn Alston somebody that you can comment on, or
Seen him only a little bit. No, putting up big numbers.
Yeah.
Haven't really dug in like I have with
Okay.
Rico, obviously. I think, Deshawn is another player. Been watching him since before he got to high school. Known more as a track guy early on, but thing I liked about him was even though he kind of had this track guy reputation, he doesn't play football like a track guy. When first I actually did when I was doing the broadcasting, we did a game when he was a freshman. He was playing corner and laying people out. And so I was, talking to the Oaks Christian coach Charlie Collins. I'm like, dude, Charlie, I go, Deshawn, man, he's laying guys out. He goes, dude, no, dude, he's tough, man. And he runs that way. He's not like 160 pounds. He's like 195, 198. He's got a thick upper body.
Yep.
And he really came on this year. His biggest thing was always health. He kind of had every year there was a nick or he was a little banged up. But when he played, he was always extremely talented, very productive. The game speed is electric. He'll be, the fastest guy in the field in almost every game. I mean, he's one of those guys you're going to watch. And USC always has them where they're going to get the ball and they're just going to like game breakers.
Yeah.
Right. You can have the angle, but it doesn't matter. The guy's still going to go 60. That's going to be Deshawn. Catches the ball pretty well out of the backfield. I kind of teased him at the Under Armour camp. had like 3 or 4 drops. I was like, what's with all these drops? I thought you were this, this elite pass catcher. He goes, man, I don't know what, he kept changing his gloves around. He goes, Under Armour gloves. So, but he can catch the ball as well. But man, he's a physical. He can go between the tackles. But in space, electric. He'll be fun to
Yeah.
watch in space. And that Lincoln Riley offense, yeah, he'll have a couple of home runs for sure.
He's one of those kids that everybody loves him too. So personality,
Lovable.
yeah,
They
personality
lovable.
wise,
Yep.
awesome
Yep.
addition. Hey, if you haven't seen Jonas Williams, any of his tape, I do know you saw him at the
Yeah.
Elite 11 at least. Just tell us what his strengths are, and then what he
Man,
can help Lincoln Riley's offense with.
yeah, surgical. I would say what you saw from Elite 11, he's not going to wow you maybe with like size or arm strength, but man, he's very accurate with the football. He throws it on time. I think for me, you're looking at all the different Lincoln Riley quarterbacks, over the day, who would be the good comp? I would say he doesn't he's not like as big, but like a Jalen Hurts type. It
Hmm.
would be the guy he's going to be very surgical. He's going to be very smart in how he delivers the football. He's not going to throw it late, not going to make a bad decision. He's going to complete passes to the short, intermediate, occasional deep ball. But, again, you watch him, he doesn't have a Caleb arm, but no one does. So, who
Right,
cares, right?
right.
Caleb was different. But no, man, I think he really fits in really well with what Lincoln wants to do. He's going to complete, he's going to throw it on time. He's going to be accurate with it, and he's not going to turn the ball over. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good fit.
He's got that personality, kind of, at least the way he can control his emotions, a lot like a Tom Brady, to where
Mhm.
I mean, he doesn't like even veer a little bit up or
Yeah,
down. This guy
yeah,
is just, any quarterback that has that kind of composure, you you tend to like your chances, especially when he's able to do some of the stuff physically that he is as well.
yeah,
Local kid that we've been talking about for a long time, who really, as much as we liked him, really liked what I saw from him this season from a physicality standpoint is Brandon Lockhart from Sierra Canyon. Just share your thoughts on him.
yeah. Another guy. Again, we've been watching since middle school. His coming out party was at the All American Bowl Combine as a freshman. He was MVP and got the invite to the All American game. After that, just MVP of the combine.
Yeah.
He's very long. He's 6'2", looks even longer. Um, I could because of the physicality, he definitely showed me a little bit more physicality. In press coverage, man, he is strong. He'll come up there and hit you. I would be shocked if they can move him around, play some boundary, but I think he could even play some safety if you wanted him to, because he's rangy, he's smart.
Yeah.
I don't think people understand you got to you got to be super smart to play safety. He's the one calling all the checks and getting guys lined up. He can do all that. Highly intelligent football player, but he's got size and smarts. He's a good athlete, and he'll come up and hit you and match him up against the bigger receivers. I think he'll do really well. That's versatile. Does a little bit of everything well. So
Yeah.
I like Brandon. Great family again. Know the dad really well. Robert's a great dude. Like all these kids, man, they all come from great families. So I think that's was important when they decided who to bring in, right? Like we talked about the off the field and the character, all that
Yep.
matters. So yeah, Brandon, you couldn't find a better kid. You want your daughter to marry Brandon Lockhart. Just
But
great kid.
and that's the thing that we do have the benefit of with these kids in Southern California. Not only you get to know, it's like a family thing. You get to know them all,
Yeah.
the kids and their families, their coaches, and the people that train them, and Lockhart. Just gotta love the way that he had such a strong senior season too, because that always matters. All
For
right,
sure.
one guy that's I haven't really had many conversations with Charles Power, but I've bumped Cody Belair enough times about TomTom Topoui.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what you guys at 247 had him ranked very, very high, and we kind of worked our way up, and he's now a 4-star. But what does he need to work on? Why would a evaluator have some questions about him, and what are his strengths as well?
Yeah, I would say his strengths are he loves football, man. He is passionate and he is tough. Um, he is a guy who, if you walked through the valley of the shadow of death, you want Tom Tom sitting next to you.
It's a good
He
way to put it.
is the toughest guy, man. He is mean. He plays, love him off the field, on the field. Something happens to him, man. He flips the switch before the game starts. He's always hollering at somebody, right? That's like his shtick. So, I remember his freshman year, they moved him to offensive line, And I actually liked him there. Like you watch him in some of these 5-on-5s,
Yeah.
you know, he'll do fine playing D line as far as a pass rusher, but when he plays offensive line, like guys don't get off the line of scrimmage on him.
I
Like he's
know.
phenomenal as an offensive lineman. And I remember Bama even offered him, Bama or Georgia, one of those two schools offered him as an offensive lineman 2 years ago. And he was like, I go, you interested? He goes, yeah, only because it's whatever school it was. I forgot
Right.
Bama or Georgia. But obviously he's a true nose. Um, 6'2", he's 230. Uh, Again, something that we value is the multi-sport. Big time track guy, throws, shot, disc. Like he checks that box off. If you're kind of looking for what doesn't he have compared to another nose guard D tackle, it comes down. Arm length isn't that big with him.
Mhm.
He's more on the shorter side.
Yep.
Production wise, he'll flash, but compare him, like, is it every down you're seeing him being disrupted? Now people will say, oh, he's double teamed every single time. So was Mason Graham, right? And
Yeah.
Mason Graham was a guy who kind of a similar body, also played offensive line, also had that multi-sport. Mason was a wrestler. TomTom's a track guy. And Mason was, a guy with 15 sacks and 100 tackles. So you're just kind of seeing, does TomTom, does he have the same kind of motor? Is a Mason Graham? Does he have the same kind of production? Can he be blocked? Does he get off blocks as well as he needs to? And if he doesn't get off blocks, then why is it? Does it come down to just like, is it a technique thing? And then we're nitpicking because he's still a 4-star, right? So you're
Yeah.
you're trying to help you find out what does he need to do. I would say that the shortcoming is probably just the overall measurements
Yeah.
right now, and trying to find. We always say this: who's your NFL comp? Whenever I have someone who's hollering to me about, hey, why isn't this, this DB who's got 18 interceptions, why isn't he okay? I would say, hey, who's the NFL comp for this player?
Yeah.
It would say, well, he's 5'10", so is that guy. And I'm like, well, that guy also was a 24-foot long jumper and ran a 10.6, and your son runs a 4.9. So that's what I'm saying. Who's the player comp? When you like get from a size standpoint, I actually think it'd be good for TomTom maybe to lose a little bit of weight and gain a little bit more quickness. Talk about get off and how important that is. Get off, hands. I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Again, I think he's going to be more than fine. I think if you're a 4-star, he's going to be drafted. And that's, Jay Toya went in the 7th round. I would say TomTom is better at the same time coming out of high school than Jay was.
Yep.
So he's going to be good. Is he going to be a 1st, 2nd rounder? Again, you just don't see that many guys with his height, weight, and length go that high. Mason Graham was an outlier.
Yes.
Hopefully, because Mason didn't have long arms either, but he was so good in every other. Again, talk about Mason, talk about Bryce Young, talk about St. Brown. You got to be elite in every other area. And Mason was. Can TomTom? Hopefully, I'm rooting for him. One of my favorite kids. I love the family. So yeah, hopefully he comes up, but I do think he's got a great chance to come in and play next year.
And and people need to kind of keep an understanding of the rankings are based off the historical data on what these guys' measurements are, and the comp is very important.
And let me just, like, again, I'm a SoCal guy, but if we're just keeping it real, which again, you look at the track record of modern day kids, it's not good,
Yeah.
right? I get in trouble for saying the quiet stuff out loud, but
why we love you though, Greg.
Two of the top programs in Southern California or in the country are Mater Dei and Bosco. And, I think it's a compliment to them. They get the most out of these kids.
Yeah.
But you watch the NFL draft, and over the last 15 years, which is a pretty big sample size, we probably had more Mater Dei and Bosco kids that were 4 and 5 stars not pan out than probably every other school in California combined.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mater Dei over the last 15 has had 3.5 guys drafted. There's Thomas Duarte, who was a 7th rounder, Quentin Lake, who was late. Then you had St. Brown, who was 4th rounder. And then Bryce Young, I give him half credit because Bryce was already the #1 quarterback before he got to Mater Dei, right?
Yes.
So I give him all that credit. And then with Bosco, they've had 2.5 guys over a 15-year period. They had Josh Rosen, Wyatt Davis, and then they get half credit for Trent McDuffie.
Oh, yes.
Trent was there for 6 months. He was at Service for 2 years. So again, that's not a knock on Mater Dei or Bosco. I love those coaching staffs, and they do a phenomenal job of maximizing. For years, De La Salle was the same way. You go to De La Salle, and those kids were so good in high school because they got like the training, the coaching, and they developed a little bit older, right? that you didn't see a lot of De La Salle players dominating college football or getting drafted. And I think the same thing. Now, do I think Mater and Bosco can come up? Absolutely. David Bailey will be a first, second rounder. Mateo, first, second rounder this year. Next year, I think Xavier Brown will be one of the top guys. I think Kingston will be one of the top linebackers. So they can trend up for sure. But the historical data shows over the last 15 years, we can't just because a Mater kid or a Bosco kid has 50 offers, that automatically means he should be rated a 5-star.
Yep.
Because again, we've had a lot of Mater and Bosco guys at 4 and 5 stars, and they were some really good football players. And I don't want to name names because I don't want to seem like I'm picking on a guy, but a lot of great players from those two schools, and you didn't hear a lot about them after high school.
Yeah.
And, that's that. Again, hopefully, TomTom is a dude, man. I think he's got a chance. I'm a fan, and so we'll see.
Hey, a guy that I have not seen play in any environment is Vlad Diaonov from is that how you say his name, or am I saying it wrong?
Close, man. Close enough. Take it.
But I mean, he's another guy that we have ranked number 68 overall, and 247 has him at 242.
Yeah.
But he's a guy that a lot of people are speaking really, really highly of. I have not seen him, so I'm depending on you 100% for this one.
For me, like again, I would probably say in the middle of those two.
Okay.
He's a guy who I think he's heavy on traits. So you talk about TomTom and he's so good, but what about the traits? Vlad is a guy who's probably heavier on traits. You watch the film, it's good, but I don't know if it's top 100 good.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he's gifted athletically. Like I've seen him at a camp do like a cartwheel into a somersault at 6'6" and 270. Like he's got a gymnastic background. He's got like 35 arms. He's a natural fluid mover, and he's got a little bit of a mean streak in him. I think he's still learning the game. He's only been playing football for 3 years now.
Okay.
So I think he's still learning the game. I think when you watch his tape, you see a guy who once he gets a hold of you, he can do some stuff, but just kind of getting out of his stance. One of the things I noticed, not always the quickest of the 5 guys get out of his stance and engaging.
Yeah.
I think he can improve that. That comes with reps, but I think he is a natural tackle, which we don't see a lot about here.
Yeah, right.
A lot of guys seem to always got to push him inside. I think he can play tackle. I think he's got tackle feet. He's got tackle length. Once he kind of figures stuff out, the sky's the limit. And that's why the ranking is, so high as a top 100 guy. Because you look at the NFL draft, and the linemen that go high are traits. Yes, they're really good in football, but you're not going to see a 6'2" tackle go in the first round. You're not. Yeah, right. The guys that get, there's always, again, the kid from LSU last year, total outlier with the arm length, shortest arms ever drafted in the first round. But you can't say, because him, therefore it's all. Like I said with Rice and St. Brown. So I think Vlad's got NFL traits. It's just you hope eventually the talent level gets to that point, and then you got a guy for sure.
Now another local kid who's still actually playing football this season is Simote Katoa from Santa Margarita High School. You talk to the guys at Santa Margarita like Coach Fafita and guys like that, and they'll talk about him. This is a guy that needs some development when he gets to college. But man, you look at this kid's frame and his body, and his the eyeball test gets passed big time. But what are you seeing from him? Where's he going to end up playing on that defensive line for USC?
I think he's going to move inside. So right now he's playing outside.
Yeah.
I thought he had the best game I've ever seen him play against Centennial last weekend. I thought he was active.
Yeah.
He plays. My critique on him, I liked him a lot at the Under Armour. He was my top performer at the Under Armour LA camp last year. As an outside guy, my critique would be like things to work on. I feel like sometimes he kind of loses sight of the ball. He can get tied up a little too easily. I think, and that's just football IQ, right? Some guys just have a knack for finding the football. With him, you see him engage and then look for the ball, and the guy ran right past him. And so, just awareness, right? I think football awareness doesn't get talked about enough. And I think with him, it was an issue in a few games that I saw also. I went to the very first game of the year that they played against Mission Viejo. He didn't have a tackle that game. Now, he got better as the course of the season went along. Like I said, he played his best game against Centennial, and he's got an NFL body. But I think you move him inside, he's going to be able to play. with 25 more pounds easily
Yeah.
without losing any athleticism. He can definitely has the frame to carry it. So I think he can be a true 4-3 D tackle type and will be a stud. I think
Yeah.
he's got a chance to be really, really good.
I love him at USC. I know that much.
Hey, there's more than what I think of him.
Yeah. Ason Tapa
Yeah.
from Corner Canyon High School. Another kid I have not seen in any environment at all, but he's another guy that they get word from USC and they're really, really high on him, potentially as maybe a center.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great spot. He plays tackle, which you always say it's rather have a guy go outside in way easier than a guy going inside out. You never really see a center guard move to tackle in college, but you'll see a tackle move inside. And he probably put on 25 to 30 pounds over the last year. I don't know if that was a great idea, but he actually moves pretty well for a guy who's got that kind of size to him.
Yeah.
Again, he stayed at tackle. Uh, he absolutely can pound the guy into the ground as a road grader. Corner Canyon's an awesome program, one of my favorite programs to cover. They are the Utah equivalent of I'm not going to say they're Bishop Gorman, but they're underneath them. All they do a phenomenal job at Corner Canyon. I mean, they beat IMG last year, right? So I mean,
Mhm.
they get dudes, great quarterback, Hellman Kasaga. So I think Easton's got a chance. I really do. I think as a center guard, I think that's a great spot for him. I think he's physical. I think he's tough, and he's got some good feet. So I think he's going to play. Not next year, but I think he's eventually going to be a multi-year guy for them. I
Yeah.
really believe that. Yeah.
Trent Mosley, Simote's teammate. He's still
Yeah.
playing a little football here.
He's pretty good.
No, he's a guy. Yeah, he's a guy that we have always loved a lot.
Yeah.
But we're like, there was always that concern: is he ever going to stay healthy?
Yeah.
For long enough to really appreciate what he can do. And
Sure.
he missed some games this year, but man, from the
Mm.
time he came back this season to now, it's just
Yeah.
been insane to watch. Tell us
Yeah.
about him.
I think he's electric with the ball in his hands. It's kind of funny. I said Makai Lemon was kind of I gave him a St. Brown comp when Makai was younger.
Yeah.
When Trent was young, I gave him a Makai Lemon comp. I thought there were some similarities in their frame and their play style. Um, the thing with Trent, he's got a pretty slight frame, right? And he's a little bit older, so you kind of hope, can this guy fill out? Is he going to be able to stand up under the hits? Because you see how he plays. He doesn't back down at all.
No.
He'll put his head down, and I mean, he comes from a tough family. Gene Poole, another thing that we talk about, mom and dad, both athletes, both Notre Dame. Mom won the Herman Trophy, which is the top award for soccer. Emmett was a really good player, but Emmett could never stay healthy. I think in Emmett's 4 years of high school, he was healthy for 1 year. And
Mm.
then when we started seeing, and Emmett's starting at Texas right now, right? So
Yep.
the thing with Trent was we kind of started to see him hurt. We're kind of like, okay, is there something with the Mosley kids where they're always going to battle some of these nicks and injuries? And it wasn't like they're soft, because they're not soft kids at
No.
all. Some guys don't want to compete. Both those kids did. And Trent, like I said, I think he's a polished receiver, played a lot of Wildcat quarterback. He's just great with the ball in his hands. He's got some wiggle. He's got just innate football IQ, knows how to play the position. Smartest guy in the field, just knows what he's doing. He can, after catch ability, he can stretch the field. He's an athlete. I think, punt kick return, put him out there right now. It's funny talking to Glenn again, Ely. We're talking about receivers, Southern California, and obviously he goes, that's the best guy right now. No one can do what he can do.
Yeah.
My pushback would be like, well, if you're talking about NFL first round pick, Chris Henry is the guy that has that size. But if you want to win a high school game tomorrow, right? Yeah, Trent Mosley.
Trent Mosley.
If you want to win a game tomorrow, which of those receivers, whether it be a Kaden, a Henry, a Spafford, there's a lot of good ones. Luke Weaver, who's
Yeah.
to win a game tomorrow? Trent Mosley.
And I mean, you could line him up in the damn Wildcat too, which it was crazy to watch.
Put the ball in his hands. Yeah, super
So
good.
that's a good segue to Luke Weaver. We another receiver here who is we have him ranked at number 221 overall,
Yep.
which is a pretty darn impressive ranking.
Like
What
that.
has he done to get that ranking, you think, from Charles Power and Cody Belair?
Yeah, no. So he's a guy that I was kind of pushing a little bit, and he's got some unique traits to him. I've looked it up. And like of the top 50 receivers in the country after their junior seasons, there was only maybe one other guy who was 6'2" or over 200 pounds, and had over 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. And I think Luke was maybe the only one.
Hmm.
So over 6'2", no, it was over 6'2", over 200 pounds, 1,000 yards, and a sub 11 100-meter. Luke was like 10'7", 10'8".
And that's
So
smoking fast for a guy like that. That doesn't
very
run.
fast
Yeah.
and productive, right? Because you don't want guys who can't play football. Because we'll have this conversation and we'll talk football and I'll mention track, and I guarantee you someone will watch and they'll go, oh yeah, Biggins, all he cares about is track. It happens every single time. Even though I'll talk about football, I'll just mention, hey, Luke Weaver ran a 10'7".
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's all I care about is track. No, Luke Weaver had over 1,000 yards and over 10 touchdowns in probably the second or third toughest league in high school as a junior. He was hurt. I think he missed the first, 4 games
I
this
don't
year.
remember that.
He got hurt, missed like the first handful of games.
Okay.
So production dipped a little bit, but when he played, he was good. But no, I mean, he's a big, fast guy who is competitive and he can catch and run. Give me that guy.
He showed up at the Coliseum for the UCLA game, and a couple of the guys that were standing next to me were like, "Who is that?" And they asked for a reason because he's an impressive looking dude. You talk about that size, it's like that's um okay.
In production, give me that all day long.
1,000 yards,
1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns. Not playing 8-man football either. He's not playing against Ocean View High School. He was playing against Loyola and Sarah and dudes.
I know, and that matters. I mean, that kind of stuff definitely matters.
It matters.
Have you seen much of Peyton Dyer? Peyton played with Elbert Hill, a few times for Rose Simon's Fast Houston this past year, 7-on-7. But I liked what I saw.
Good. I think he's going to be a nickel type. He's not a 6 feet guy. He's probably close to 5'10".
Yeah.
I don't know what we have him on the website, but just always drop an inch.
We have him at 6'1".
Peyton Dyer?
I thought he was closer to like what you were saying, maybe 5'11".
Well, God, maybe he had that growth spurt between.
He may have, yeah.
But no, I think he's more quick than fast. He's got good cover instincts. He's 4-year guy. Played a lot of high school football. He's going to come in battle test. I think he's quality. He's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A kid who I have had a chance to see because I went and saw IMG play a couple of times. Another Colorado kid. What's an interesting story with Mark Bowman and Cannon Smith and Brett Kolajay, all 3 USC commits, as they all played youth football together in Colorado. But Brett Kolajay is not ranked all that high by us. He is a 4-star in the Rivals industry rankings, but this is one of those guys to where you hear USC thinks is probably the most likely to play as a freshman. Brett Kolajay.
Yeah. So I mean, I know his trainer, Matt McChesney.
Yeah.
And he says he's an NFL guy. He goes, he will play in the NFL. I think Breck is good. I don't know if the ceiling is as high as Pepe, but I could see why USC thinks he can come in and play earlier.
Center too, and high IQ is all that stuff factoring into that.
Very tough, technique, advanced, just good with the hands, polished. Yeah, he's a solid football player. I love the versatility. He's played all 3 spots. But if you want to play center, that's not a bad fit at all.
No.
It's got that toughness that you want to see. He's got that nasty, that mean streak, that nastiness you want to see. So yeah, there's a lot to like there. I could see why USC is high on him.
Yes. I love the fact that he will tell you without any hesitation that when he's on the football field, he's the smartest guy on the field. So I love guys like that.
Yeah.
Sean Scott, interesting player here. We've seen him play probably as much as anybody. He's always been an edge in our mind, but he's being recruited as a linebacker for USC. Where can he fit in at the linebacker position to where you think he can help a football program out?
Yeah, he's very. I thought he had a really good year from Mater Dei. And in fact, this is a knock on. They have so many quality DBs. Love Danny Lang. Love Ace. Tom. I thought the 2 best players for me were Sean Scott and CJ Lavender. I thought those were the 2 most consistent playmakers when I watched Mater Dei. Sean has really grown as a football player from the time he was a freshman to now. Become more of a leader, become more of a every down player. I think before he could probably get away with maybe taking some plays off. This year, they couldn't do that. This was not the most talented modern day team. And I think he went out and, on a high note. I thought he played really good against the Centennial. He had the strip sack interception return. He's a good athlete.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure where he plays exactly. You don't want to use like the tweener term because people get offended by that. But is he an edge? Is he an outside backer? So then that's when you really got to get into the nitty gritty of a player, and you're talking like biology and like, okay, if he's an edge, he's going to be an undersized edge. You don't know how much more weight he can put on. He doesn't have a ton of length to him, and that's why I think USC likes him as a linebacker. Problem is he has never really played a ton of linebacker, and from like an athletic, twitchy standpoint, he's not like, if you're comparing him to other linebackers, he's not the most twitchy, reactionary linebacker type.
Yeah.
I think if you're playing like a 3-4 and he's like that pass rushing type of edge, I think he can fill that role. But if you're asking him to like maybe be more like an off-ball linebacker, I think that might be tough because he hasn't played it, right? You're asking, he's more of an edge guy who gets after the quarterback. He can, stand a guy up and disengage and make a play that way. But in terms of having to chase and play in space, it remains to be seen. But I feel better about him right now than I did at this time last year.
Well, he kind of, I can come clean on this. I think you and I can come clean on this. We both had question marks about him before this football season started, and like you said, he just went out and, he shut me up. Not that I was like saying he can't play football, but there was some doubt there. And after the end of the season, especially that Centennial game, those doubts kind of went away.
Yeah, my doubt was never about him as a football player. It was more about where does he project, and can he move to linebacker, or can he get big enough to play as an edge? I even one time told him, I go, dude, I could see you bulking up and moving inside on the D line more so than playing linebacker. And he's like, you really think so? I'm like, I don't know. I go, I'm just throwing it out there, but I think you love to have that kind of versatility.
Yeah.
And like I said, man, he grew on me. I was happy to see how he progressed, and I thought he went out with a bang. He had a really, really strong senior year, and I think he's deserving.
Yep. All right. So now we got Braden Jones in Illinois, and is that I mean we can move on to Tron Baker if you haven't seen a whole, because I don't think a lot of people have seen much of Braden Jones. He didn't.
I've seen a ton of Braden. I'm going to put that on my to-do list. So if we do this again, you ask me about Braden Jones. I'm like, yeah, here we go. Braden Jones. He does this.
We'll talk about a couple of guys after this for sure. But Tron Baker's a guy. This is someone who also battled some injuries, and there was some doubt whether Tron could come back and be the player that we thought he could become 2 years ago, and I felt like he did.
Yeah. No, I mean, this was a guy who, as a freshman, was like elite, and I actually liked him as a corner. I'm just so you know, I'm always more of a defensive guy. So if I see a guy both ways, I'm always gonna like. I was the dumb guy who said Makai Lemon corner,
but that's not dumb.
I'll stand on that.
Okay.
I will still stand on that. It just goes to show, like, if there's a guy playing both ways, I will often say, hey, let's go over here. You go to a camp and there's 50 receivers and there's 3 corners. I'm like, where do you want to be? Yeah. You want to be all those guys, or do you want to stand alone? If you're really, really elite as a corner, look at this line over here.
Sure.
When Tron played, he was on that team with Malachi and Makai Lemon, DeAndre Moore as a freshman making plays, and they moved him to corner late in the year. And I'll tell you what, dude, he was really good.
Yeah.
I even said, I go, dude, Tron, man. I go, I love your length. I love the way you move. You got some toughness. You're coming up and you're smacking people. I go, what do you think? He goes, nah, I'm a receiver. I go, okay, man, I'm not going to tell you what to do. But I love that two-way ability. And yeah, he had the knee injury. It was awful. Basically, you blow your knee out. You lose not just one, but essentially 2. It's not long to kind of get back to normal again. And so this year, as a senior, he was running better. He was showing some more burst, showing some explosiveness, showing some twitch. You love the family. You love the mom. You love everything about the kid. So hopefully he goes out there and kills it. He's coming in, and he's going to probably have a little bit of a chip because no one's talking about him like they used to. And he'll go there, and he's going to compete hard. So I'm excited to see him.
He's another kid, never complains about anything.
Great kid.
Always have a bias for those guys. Hey, Cannon Smith is another guy who just based off the film that I saw on him, I just felt like I was watching somebody that was potentially a really good player down the road. Have you seen much of him, and what are your thoughts on where
I
he could
like
project?
No, so I didn't know where USC took him, and I did like a write up about him, talking about, hey, he's got tackle feed, he's doing this, and I hear, oh, they took him as a center, and
Yeah,
I'm like, "Dang." Yeah, I didn't know that at the time I was watching him because he plays tackle, and he's a very athletic kid, and
yeah,
he's down the field, 10 yards, finishing guys off, blindside style, taking guys off the field, he's doing all that kind of fun stuff. So as a center, that's really intriguing. Because he doesn't have the biggest, he's not the biggest kid. So you're kind of saying, hey, is he going to be able to bulk up and be a guard tackle? But as a center with his play style,
yeah,
I'm super intrigued by him. I think he's going to be good. I like the tape a lot. He's a finisher who can move,
yeah.
and I valued the toughness in the makeup. So yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah, I mean, you can't help but watch somebody like his film, and again, you never know who they're playing against. But Valor Christian's one of the top programs in the state. I think they just lost state
Colorado. You'd be
championship
surprised.
to
Yeah,
Cherry Creek.
yeah. Valor Christian, Cherry Creek,
Yeah,
quality for
big
sure.
time.
Yeah.
Hey, Joshua Holland was a kid. There was just something about him when I went over to St. John Bosco. And you know how when we go over to St. John Bosco in the springtime, the first thing that happens to us is they want to show us all their youngest guys, right? And Joshua Holland was one of those guys. And you sit there and watch him, and it was like there's something about this guy that I like. But he's grown, and this was like the first year where you could kind of really see him put on a little bit of weight to where he could maybe there's some hope this kid could really bulk up. And
Yeah.
we all do when we get older, but he's they're looking at him as a cornerback at USC. But is this a guy that could be very versatile in the DB room?
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about him and Matt and Reardon at the same time, because for me
Yeah,
they're similar. They are just so smart, intelligent. Maddie is probably the highest football IQ player I've been around.
yeah,
She's very smart. A little bit longer than Maddie. Maddie is just so ball skills elite. Like, just if it's in his vicinity, he's coming down with it. He had like what 11 picks as a junior, uh,
yeah,
good senior year. I think Josh is probably the better pure cover guy. I think Maddie's probably coming in more as a safety nickel. But I like Josh a lot too. I saw him again as an eighth grader under the radar camp, and two-way guy. And there was talk that he might be a better receiver. He decided to stick at corner and got better every year. I think he has a chance to be pretty good. He's got ball skills. He's got awareness. I think he needs to just, if you're looking for like what does he need, I think continue to get bigger, better,
hmm
faster. He's got good speed, not great speed. He's one of those guys I think does everything well. Maybe not one thing like exceptionally well, but he's good at everything across the board. So
yeah.
love him, love the family. Been around Josh a lot. Great kid. He works hard at it, right? And he will compete.
And
Matt,
AJ, you're playing for those guys, those coaches at St. John Bosco. You
oh,
know what you're
super.
getting out of their DBs,
Yeah.
especially.
I mean, my D Lace, DB, former USC Trojan,
Yeah.
Darby Lacey, DB coach over there, and Chris King, for me, probably the best D corner out there. Well, after watching SM and my boy Steven Fafita, who knows, Kinger, he got some competition, but
Yeah.
Steven, when you do it like over like a 10-year period, because Kinger's been doing it for a long time. But no, you come out of Bosco, you're going to be well coached. You're going to be able to know how to play in any defense, zone man. You're going to be have some field awareness to you. Those guys, you can go to Bosco and you can come out and you're ready to go. That's people think you're dogging Bosco because you mentioned the NFL. No, dude, I'm saying Bosco does a great job developing you to the point where they maximize your ability.
Yeah.
That's a
They do.
compliment. So D Lace, they do a great job, and I think Josh is he again. I think he's got a. There's like you said, there's something about Josh that's always kind of been intriguing to me. He's
hmm
that 5'11", but he looks like he's 6'1" to me. He always looks long, man. Now maybe it's the hair, but he always looks longer than he is. He runs well. I like him. I like Matty Reardon a lot too. I just think they may lack in those high end physical traits in terms of like the height, weight, length, speed.
Yeah.
But football players, you won't. Again, if I want a receiver to win a game tomorrow, Trent Mosley. If I want a DB to win a game tomorrow, Matty Reardon.
Yeah.
Matty gives me the best chance to win a game right now because he's so smart and he's so good and he knows how to play and he's always around the football. And he's the best kid, 4.0 student, just salt of the earth.
I mean, how could you not? It's just like you just bottle kids like that, like Maddie, and just bottle and give me 85 of those guys. But
Another guy, I got
just
three daughters. They can all date Maddie Reardon. Like
yeah,
that one of them's already married, so she's out. But like Maddie's another guy you want, that's you take home to mom.
you know what's interesting about him is he was one of those guys that we would get questioned about at WeAreSC. He was not a highly ranked guy in his measurables, and so fans were thinking, is this somebody who maybe is going to end up being dropped, or they're going to start looking at other guys. But what people didn't know what was going on is that Lincoln Riley was not calling anybody more than he was calling Madden Reardon.
Yeah.
And I mean, so when you find that kind of stuff out, and then Danton Lynn too, obviously defensive
Yeah.
coordinator. So it was easy for me to understand why they loved him so much. But the fans, are getting a better glimpse on what you're talking about on what Madden Reardon offers. It's kind of like a quarterback in the defensive
Yeah,
backfield.
for sure.
Um, Andrew Williams, another guy. Shoot, I mean, I'm like embarrassed I haven't seen him, but. He's another one of those guys that's not really ranked all that high, but USC has just been really high on him from the get-go.
Yeah. No, I like the fact that they're recruiting SoCal so hard.
Yeah.
And they got a handful. That might be too strong of a word, a handful, but a few LA City kids that I like. And you got kids from Cajon, you got kids like they're it's a nice little mix. And dude, I'm all about that. So yeah, Andrew, I think I'll be honest, I didn't get to see him in person this year either.
Okay.
I have watched the beautiful thing nowadays that we have this thing called Huddle, where you can watch full games of kids,
Yeah.
almost like you were there. So it's a good thing. I still want to see him up close and kind of eyeball him, but
Yeah.
no, he's he's definitely a guy I need to see more of. But I like what I've seen, man. He makes a lot of plays.
Um, and another kid that was a late addition to this class he's not playing any football still, but his team is at Santa Margarita is Jaden Crowder. And he's another one of those guys to where you just gotta love what this kid, he's been consistently good and we've always liked him,
Yeah.
but this particular season was really, really strong for him.
Yeah, I mean, early modern day kid, transferred to SM. They had, a lot of people at modern day want to go somewhere else and play a lot more. And one of the most technically sound kids. Don't quote me on this. I want to say he might be a uh, he might be a Coach Brown ground zero kid.
Pretty sure he is.
So, I mean, that's why, like, obviously technique, square technique, right? That's Coach Brown's big thing.
Yes.
So I think he's also a nickel. He's not a big guy, but he can run, man. He's a good athlete with ball skills. I watched him a lot this year, actually, because I watched SM like 3 different times. Unfortunately, he did get hurt, but man, he can come down the alley and make a hit. He can get a guy down the ground, but pure cover guy, pure instinct. Again, doesn't get rattled, doesn't hold and clutch and grab a lot, just gets inside of you and does a great job as just I think I don't want to compare him to Jalen Smith, but there's some Jalen Smith in him.
Hmm.
I think he can be that type of positionally. I think he can be that guy. Now, was he going to be an NFL draftee? I don't know, but I think he does a lot of the same things that Jalen did so well.
I mean, if he approaches that at the college level, that's a nice get for USC.
I compliment. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Taylor Johnson. What? He's another guy that it seems like I didn't make it to the city section or the Inland Empire this year, but he's another guy that I don't think USC fans know a whole lot about you mentioned Cajon and
Mhm.
good lead into to USC's other linebacker commit.
Yeah. Banger. Like he gets downhill and he's like he loves contact, and that's what you want to. That's why probably the one position that gets kind of screwed over at these Under Armour camps or 7-ons is
Yeah.
linebacker. Because what they do best is fill a gap and knock the crap out of you, and you can't really do that at the Under Armour camp. At least you don't want them to.
You're covering running backs the whole day.
Yeah, you're covering a right, and how often these guys cover a running back 80 yards down the field with the running back doing like 18 different moves that aren't even football moves.
Right.
But no, man, this guy can run and hit. He is a banger physical player, built like a tank. Yeah, there's a lot. I like him. There's a lot there for sure. And I like the edge that he brings. I mean, he's got a linebacker mentality to him, so I think he'll be fun. Special teams and then playing some defense.
Hey, this was going to be a 15-minute deal with Greg, so let's thank
I
him
had to
for.
went on every single player on the roster. Gosh, this is even more than I anticipated. My voice is starting to lose a little
God, now I'm going to hear about this for the next month or so, all the way to the Poly Bowl. I'll buy you something that you don't like. Are you a poke bowl guy, or
bit.
you need your fish cooked?
Yeah, I just don't like that. I did. A little too raw for
All
me.
right. Leonard's, I'll take you to Leonard's. All right.
Yeah.
So, John Fafita is a kid that I've seen him multiple times at the Coliseum. I've not seen him play. Looks like a good sized kid, though.
Yeah. No, he brings size. He was a guy who honestly, when he committed, I think a lot of people were like, wow, USC took or John Fafita's going to USC. That's kind of a big deal. So, I think when you're taking 35 guys, you can afford to take a few that maybe aren't ready to play right now, but you see
Yeah.
something in them. You see like and you don't really see that many schools doing that anymore with the portal, the way it's set up now, where you can get a guy to fill those last 5 spots who actually have played 2 years of college ball. So, Fafita's a guy who, you do see the upside, man. You do see frame frame length. So he's got that. He's got those traits that you want to see. And so I think you take him, you develop him, and then maybe after a couple years, you got a football player. So I think it's fine if you're taking 20 guys. He might not make it in that USC class with 20. If you're taking 35, why not give a chance on a guy with some high end physical traits?
Yeah. And I mean, it seems like it's always been the case with the bigger guys. You have to bring in some guys that you're going to be developing. Not every guy can come. You have to have some of those developmental
With
guys.
an NIL budget, you can't bring in everybody who's going to want $1 million a year, right?
Right.
Like you have a budget, and you need to fill those roster spots with some guys that honestly aren't going to be asking for 18 different cars and a bag of cash. You want guys that are going to want to be there and that can get developed and that you believe in down the road.
Yeah, I
So
mean, USC spent probably more on NIL with this recruiting class than they have the last three combined. So it was a good year from an NIL perspective, USC fans. I've had agents tell me they think USC and Texas are the top two NIL collectors. I know this is off topic again, and you probably have better things to do. Have you heard any conversations about NIL with USC from any of these agents or anybody?
what you'd be shocked. I really don't ask that question. I don't
Yeah,
know. I've never asked what someone I work with, Howard, never asked how much they make or asked a boss, hey, it's never been my thing.
yeah,
Uh, as an Angels fan, that's the only time I talk about money is Artie Moreno. I wish he would spend more, spend it more wisely, but that's really the only time I ever bring it up. So I haven't heard USC. I know USC's got a high end NIL, but I didn't know they had like a top two. I would have probably thought like, maybe the Texas schools, whether it be an A&M,
yeah.
obviously Ohio State was talked about last year. But I think what's interesting is like maybe last year was Ohio State's got a $20 million payroll. That's probably normal now,
I
right?
think
Like
so.
at one point that sounded outlandish.
Mhm.
Kind of like, yeah, there's like 10 or 15 schools with that kind of budget. So it's almost like, well, they set the bar and now everybody kind of goes, oh, we need to get to that level.
And that's true. Yeah, I think this particular year everything kind of closed in with a lot of
Yeah.
schools. I agree. I agree with that part for
A
sure.
lot of
I mean, you can just see it, right, with who is going where. Malik
yeah.
Brooks, he was the last time I saw him was at the Under Armour camp. This is another massive kid who's gonna. This is a he will be a big project for the strength and conditioning coach at the University of Southern California. But where can this guy end up playing on the line and make a big impact for USC
Yeah, I
potentially?
mean, he's obviously an inside guy all the way.
Yeah.
Like you said, he's a massive D tackle. Could be a nose, but he's tall. Usually, a lot of your noses, you kind of want them for leverage wise. You see them in that 6'2" and under range. I think he's like what, like 6'4",
He is six, yeah, about that.
6'5".
350.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's like 6'3" ish.
When I saw him, I almost thought he had more of an offensive guard body than a than
Okay.
a. And now I know they brought him in to play defense.
Yeah.
So yeah, 6'3", 6'4", inside guy, space eater, you know, taking on guys. Not a ton of elite level quickness or burst. If you're comparing him like a TomTom, who's another inside guy,
Yeah.
their get off in athleticism, you give the edge to TomTom. But again, if you're going to bring in bodies, that's where you bring in extra bodies, is inside in the trenches. It's hard to find guys that are true interior D linemen. We just don't have them out here that often. So
No.
if you're gonna, hey, let's bring in another guy that we think can add some depth, make it be an inside D lineman. That's always the way to go. So I'm totally fine with it.
And we'll end with Chase from Cathedral Catholic, offensive tackle. He's another guy that, you watch him, you see him in camp settings and stuff like that, and you can see the potential from him. Do you have any thoughts on where he can also be best served on the offensive line
I
in the
want to see him
future?
Friday. They play Los Al out here in the Division One or 1A Double A
Yeah.
regional game. Um, they just knocked off Carlsbad. Cathedral Catholic did. They have
Yeah.
Honor Falave Johnson, who's a USC lean, I think right now, the top player in the 2027 class.
Yes.
So, yeah, Chase is a big kid. I saw him at the National Preps Camp. He's a huge kid, the nicest kid in the world, man.
Uh,
But another guy, huge hands, ton of length. I don't remember what the arm wingspan was. It's probably like 84, 80. I mean, he's long as heck.
yeah.
You know, needs to continue to improve, foot speed and quickness. Lateral, if you want to stay as a tackle, has a tackle body, but if he doesn't improve athletically, then you probably slide him inside and play guard.
Hmm.
But Cathedral quality program, quality gene pool. Mom is an elite softball All American from that other school in LA. I don't want to tick off anybody on the YouTube channel here, but Mom was an elite level catcher from that other
He was
program.
referring to Pepperdine in case you guys wanted to know. The other
Um,
school in LA.
Yeah. So I mean, Gene Pool's there. He's got a chance. Like I said, you like the traits. You just kind of want to see a uptick in the athleticism, foot speed, quickness, and we'll see what happens to him. But I think more than likely I could see him slide inside. But no, I'm going to see him this weekend. That'll be good.
Oh, no doubt about it. There's gonna be some good games. All right, we're gonna let you go after this. The two most likely guys to commit for the class of 2027 right now seem to be Duve Williams and Honor Faalave Johnson, who you just mentioned from Cathedral Catholic. What do you see from those guys that you like? There's a lot to like about both, obviously.
Well, both. Yeah. So Duve is a corner receiver. Um, they've had a lot of them at Sarah. Adori was a two-way guy. Woody, Marquise Lee, all two-way guys. I think Duvet is outstanding as a football player. I think he's got some natural cover skills. He's athletic. He's quick. He's been banged up a little bit. I think his frame is very, very lean. He needs to pack
Mm,
on some weight. I think a lot of these corners, whether it be him, whether it be Jo over at Mater Day, who I love, um, Juju, even they're all slight of frame, right? So you kind of want to see
yeah.
guys with a little bit more bulk to them. I think Dante Wright's got a little more bulk, Danny Lang a little more bulk, but in terms of pure skill, Duvet is up here, man. As a receiver, he's up there. He's got everything you want. High in athleticism, he competes, he'll tackle you. He's unafraid to come up and play the run, but I think he's most gifted as a pure lockdown cover guy. And Honor, for me, I know he's being recruited almost predominantly as a safety right now, but
Yeah.
I love him as a running back. You watch what he's doing as a pure running back, and he's one of the fastest guys on the field. Last year, his first year running track, and I think he ran like a 10.5, 10.6 and got hurt in that race so he didn't make it to the state. But I think he's and his football speed, some guys you don't see it translate. The track speed with him, he looks so fast with pads on.
Yeah.
Like he pulls away from guys. Like his GPS is probably 22, pushing 23 miles an hour. Like
So
he is explosive with the ball in his hands, where like it's like a door opening and slamming shut really, really quickly. So
mm,
I think he can play running back. But again, everyone loves him at safety. I think they just kind of see him as that. I think he can probably play corner. I've seen him play receiver. Most versatile player, probably out west, but one of those guys, he just a football player. Just find a spot for him and he'll be good.
puts on, he's one of those guys that puts on a show offensively in 7-on-7. He's just fun to watch, right? Doesn't you put him anywhere? It's a playmaker. All right, I lied. Last thing, there's talk about Kaden Dixon Wyatt potentially flipping his commitment. There was an article today from a prediction from
Prediction.
Steve Wiltfong. This is another guy I would say always liked him, maybe didn't love him until this year. Maybe the production wasn't, as high as maybe some other guys, but really, really liked what I saw from him this season.
Yeah, I mean, you're never going to have a super productive guy receiver from modern day just because they have so many guys, right?
Exactly.
Amon St. Brown was, but he was special, special, special. But you know, and also they kind of ran more of a run and shoot when St. Brown was there with JT and
Yeah.
Drew and um, Nico Remigio. That was some good teams for sure. But
Yes.
went a little old school on you right there, right? With Nico and
I was waiting for you to like throw Cody Epps' name out there, and here we go.
it came a little bit after those
That's
guys, but
true. He did come after.
no, like again, I met Kaden for the first time at the under the radar eighth grade camp, and originally Oakland kid, and I love the NorCal kids. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I think the NorCal Fresno kids, they just seem to have a little bit more edge to them,
Yeah.
be a little more tougher. And I'm not saying we don't have tough kids here in SoCal, but because we do. But a lot of times, kids in Southern California get so much attention, it kind of gets to their head. The Northern California kids come in and they want to prove something. So they have a little bit more, and that's kind of how I think has always kind of felt that way. But man, I think he's super talented, man. Like high level body control. He was my favorite player at the All 22 Elite 11 camp 2 years ago. 407 shuttle. People say, well, he's not super fast. He's more quick than fast.
Yeah.
He was 407 shuttle, which is phenomenal, and a 39 vertical jump, which is elite. So if you're running a 4.7, 4.6, but you're quick and you're in and out of your breaks, and the touchdown that he had in the Centennial game, he looked really fast to me, right? So there's
You talking
games
about the one where he caught the ball, turned around, and he was gone?
on.
Man,
Yeah.
that was
Like he
impressive.
looked, that was the fastest I've seen him run. So
Yeah.
strong hands, loves to block, super tough kid, super physical kid. And for 2 years now, you talk to anybody at Modern Day and you say, hey, who's the best receiver here? And it's been unanimous. Everyone there has been saying Kaden.
Hmm.
A lot of them will say it's not close. So that's not a knock on anybody else at Modern Day, but they will say Kaden is the guy. They think he is the alpha. He's
Yeah.
got an alpha personality. He wants the football. He's a naturally a tough kid. And yeah, man, right now it's looking good for USC. We kind of dropped that on the message board, your message board a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
Just suddenly said, hey, I'm hearing this. It could happen. That was kind of my way of not wanting to put it out there, but kind of just said, hey, just look for this. I'm not a huge prediction guy, as you know,
Yeah.
but my prediction is going on your message board and saying, hey, watch for this. We're kind of hearing some talk. You heard it as well. And now we're 2 days away from signing day, and it's looking positive, I will say.
It's definitely not looking negative.
It's not looking negative. It's looking strong to quote Gaylord Fokker, looking strong to quite strong right now. So
I love the fact that we're quoting Gaylord Fokker.
dude, who doesn't love little Ben Stiller meet the
No,
parent? All time.
the entertainment value goes.
Are you going to be at Modern Day on Wednesday?
What's that?
You going to go to Modern Day on
I
Wednesday?
think so. Yeah. And then there's something going on later in the day too, where there's going to be like maybe as many as 12 USC commits. So there's something at 6 p.m. that I'll be at too. But signing day is so much different than it used to be. But there's still a little intrigue, isn't there?
Always. There's always, and
Yeah.
there's something's going to happen that we haven't even talked about.
Yep. No
You
doubt
know,
about it.
so it's always going to have some intrigue for sure.
Yes. All right. Well, hey, I know we kept you for like 2 hours today doing this, but I've been waiting to do a show with Greg Biggins for like 10 freaking years.
How many
So,
text messages did I miss? I got 9 missed messages. Hopefully, it's not anyone that's super. Nah, you're still the most important guy out of all the messages I've gotten. So this is
that's the
good.
right answer. But you know what? But anyway, I definitely appreciate this greatly. So,
But my brother will be excited that I'm on with you because when I was on the other network, he was always talking about, yeah, I watched the podcast. Oh, yeah, I was watching the video, and I'm like, he's a big fan. He loves you, and I'm like, okay, Jeff, my brother's diehard USC guy. He's like, hey, did you? I go, no, I didn't watch their podcast. Like, I know those guys, they're friends, but no, I did not watch the YouTube video.
yeah,
And he's like, oh man, they said this. I'm like, thanks, I appreciate the update. I already know most of that, but that's fine. You
here's
can
a memo to people.
You can watch
If
and
we
it,
watch something, we're probably not learning anything.
you, it's gonna be like instant credibility for me. I'm boosting up my status right now, and my older brothers. Shout out to my brother Jeff Biggins, big
Yes.
USC
Jeff,
fan.
we love you. We know you're going to see this and we love you.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll have you on the show next time. All right. Hey, man, thank you. And we'll be talking here, I'm sure, plenty of times this week. But thank you so much, Greg.
At any time. Yep.
All right, man. Now I got to turn my recorder off.
Ooh.
Let's see. Where are we going at here? Boom.